Welcome to Today at the Races. And boy, am I happy to hear that intro music. Just so glad to be running once again. Naomi Chaka here, joined by Keith Fuse. So Keith, how excited are you? First day of the spring meet.
I'm ready. I'm ready. I mean, a little bit of a setback for us, but we're ready to go. We've got some beautiful weather. I just glanced outside at that turf course. We're right around the corner for that. It's going to make my job a little bit tougher, but yeah, back at it. And a card, credit to the racing office with everything they've had to deal with to put these cards together. I'm not going to go any more into what we had to deal with, but hey, they did a great job so far. What we've got working with what we've got, and we've got a competitive, good betting card today all the way through.
I agree. I was looking at some of your picks. You got a couple of long shots on top of them. Very excited to get going about. And of course, also we're just about 5 weeks and a little bit away from Preakness, and in the run up to the Preakness, we have our very own stakes weekend coming up, the Spring Stakes in only a few weeks here. 24th of April, of course, was moved back by 1 week, but still so much to look forward to. 7 stakes races, the Federico Tessio, of course, the Preakness Prep, the Weber City Miss Stakes, $750,000 in purses. So much to come. Really is the start of a great meet here once again, as we'll roll along into the Preakness Stakes, and we'll keep you all abreast of everything that is going on in the Mid-Atlantic. But of course, tomorrow, the Stronach 5 returns, and we do have 2 legs here at Laurel Park. We kick things off with race 8, then we go to Gulfstream Park for their race 8. Back to us again for our nightcap, race 9. I do say those nightcaps are notoriously hard to decipher, but we'll try our best. Gulfstream Park, race 9 again. And then we go to Golden Gate for their race 3 to finish things off. So do tune in, and we'll give you everything you need to know tomorrow as well. And when it comes to betting, we do have yet another exciting betting offer coming up by First Bet. Win $20,000 in terms of betting money for Preakness 146 when you play online at ExpressBet or First Bet. You can earn entries for every bet you make. So that's something that you definitely want to keep an eye on. Go to first.com/bet/promotions. But Keith, let's have a look at the track conditions. You were mentioning it's a beautiful day, isn't it? Look at that grass.
Yeah, what a change. Even just a couple weeks we talked about it. It was getting ready to pop, and there it is, greening up nicely. I saw some guys working on the turf course out there. Yeah, track, we've got a fast track. Good to have that coming back. And, I don't perceive that, we can, assume any biases or anything like right now. The track's been playing fair for quite some time. Yeah, I mean, I'm ready. Great job, guys. The track looks great, and that turf course looking very, very good.
Yeah, I was walking up this morning. I always get the chance to quickly peek at the dirt course, and it looks very, very decent as well. Can only imagine that it's lovely to train on in the mornings as well. Get started with the 9 race card for today. Of course, the first race of the day always kicks off the early pick 5 sequence. 12% industry low, take out 50-cent minimum bet. I have a ticket for you for the late pick 5 sequence later coming up as well. Just get started with the first race here, Keith. 6.5 furlong is the distance for maidens, $10,000. 3, 4, and 5-year-olds, and then the 3-year-olds get to carry a little bit less than some of the elders that they will be facing. And you landed on the gelding on the rail, the number 1, Sweet Asta. Blinkers go on, and this is interesting because this is a gelding that has showed some speed earlier in his career. If you go back to somewhere in August last year, started to show interest again as of late.
Yeah, I think the flow today is going to be right up his alley. I don't think this field is going to get too far away from him. I want to see a fairly aggressive ride. We get Katie Davis, right, returning to ride here.
Welcome back to Katie.
Yeah, welcome back to Katie. Maybe she can kick things off with a bang here with a win for Sweet Asta. But that's the key. Distant Thunder, and it came back and ran pretty well on the race out of that race. I think Sweet Asta can just kind of stay around. Here comes Rudy. I just was watching that rerun. It was the last day we raced, right, on the 21st of March. He held pretty well. They went awfully slow early. But I think all in all, got entangled up in like a 3-way battle around that final turn just to fade a little bit late. I think he's going to be forward a long time as well. Not telling. I think he's just a little bit better horse. It seems at Charlestown. The numbers work to play. The money's going to come in on him, no doubt. But I'll go inside with the 1 or the 2 to get you started.
Yeah, both of us try to beat the favorite here in the number 5 Not Telling 8-5 morning line. most likely will try and be aggressive, but as you mentioned, it'll be interesting to see if on his inside there's a few that might want to go with him there. He's getting back to the 6.5 furlong after that Mao romp, and he's been progressing over his last couple of starts, but I am trying to look for another horse. As you mentioned, I use the number 2. Here comes Rudy as well as we get going with the second race. Beaten claimers for the fillies and mares, 3-year-old and upward, 7 furlongs the distance. Both you and I land on the number 7, Cairo Queen, and I do know that you have a nice stat as well.
Yeah, a little stat here for Cal Lynch. Last 3 years in the dirt, 4 for 13, 31%, 8 for 13 in the money with this kind of tag drop, 50% tag drop. In for the nickel as well. When you combine those two, there's the ROI. It's a pretty gaudy $5.41. Cairo Queen, a reclaim. Took this horse back off of Claudio. They had some success with this mare. Recent form, but she's been working steadily. Moving into this race, really looked like she hadn't missed really a beat in the morning. They just want to get aggressive. Hey, go ahead and get a win, get her over the top. We've got Charlie Marquez. She's got enough positional speed in here. I think the key. The main factor is going to be Congress Hall, the main opponent here for the 7. They're the 2 favorites. Slight edge to the 7. That stat kind of put me over the top.
Yeah, I just gave her a slight nudge as well. As you mentioned, like that work tab, 3 works since that last race. She just looks like she's cycling back into form once again. And as you mentioned, an aggressive class drop that always kind of pricks my ears as well. The number 6, Congress Hall, stretching out to the 7 furlongs here. In between runners and dueling last time out was a game effort.
Yeah, Pete's Pride has held pretty good form of late. And for her to be up with that flow and caught in between horses, I call that the death trip when you're in there a long time. And a lot of times horses, they're just not comfortable. And she's a filly really that doesn't necessarily need to lead either. I mean, she's shown on her page to come from just off of it. But looking at the field, she's going to be close. If given a good break, she's going to be up with the flow a long way. I think When They Grin works okay as well for the 7/8 distance. She's got a closing punch. She hasn't gotten back to that form she had earlier. I think she can definitely gain a share though in here.
Yeah, I feel like the 7, 6 are the 2 sort of main horses here in the second race on the card. Third race on the card, claiming 8,000, going to 2-turn Mao and 16 here. And this is our first replay of the show. We have the number 5, King Maro, in his last effort, straight to the front, in hand all the way, looked very comfortable there. My only sort of, my nitpicking here, didn't go that fast early.
Did not. 24-3-48, picked it up. A good final quarter all the way through. Very eager, I thought, to the wire was King Maro. Now, obviously, claimed 3 races back for the nickel. Had a great trip off the claim. Took a lot of play. Did not see that horse getting that much money. They pounded that horse at the windows. Got an inviting seam early. Was able to dictate. Took a little pressure. They went slow again. Yeah, at a mile and 16th now, moving in the middle of the pack with some speed to the inside like Haynes Fever. We'll see. He's in such sharp form, though. I think he's a horse that can track if he wants to. So it's going to be up to Sheldon to kind of avoid any kind of tough trip through that first, maybe 3/16 of a mile, and then he can kind of get this horse to settle, and I think he'll bring a finish. Now, he was entered in a starter going on the go back, and now he's back in for the tag. That was my own real reservation with him.
Yeah, and I looked at the pace setup as well. As you mentioned, I think maybe Haynes Fever will indeed pressure him. So I ended up landing on the number 3, Charging Line. That kind of stalking positional gelding. Johan Rosario gets the leg up here. Has been away from track from 83 days. Reclaimed by Jamie Ness. 5 works coming into this and beat King Maro well last month. Now, he didn't really turn up that day. Just wondering if I can get perhaps a little bit more value in the number 3.
Yeah, I think he is going to sit a very good trip in here. I think he can sit maybe in that 3rd spot, a couple lengths off the lead. Last time out was in a race where the leader just went out and opened up 10. They're tricky races for riders to ride. Laurel did a great job there. But back in the barn of Jamie Ness, this kind of layoff doesn't really scare me as much looking at Ness's stats. He's 3 for 11 dirt routes on this kind of a layoff. Okay, so that works for me. 27% ROI is okay. So, yeah, Charging Line I can definitely see. He could upset the apple cart. Not going to be a huge price, though.
He is well placed in there, I feel. You use the 4 Whirling Curling, who I use underneath. I feel like if they go a decent enough clip, this is the type of gelding to pick up some pieces.
Yeah, he's a horse. I did not see that race February 4th. I can see maybe him winning it. He took some play. he grounded out after of a tough wide trip and got it done. They thought enough to go into that open 10. That was just too tough. But he's the type of horse, he's got back class. He's got a sustainable running. Just like you said, you look at the running styles of a couple of these horses. I could maybe see from the 3/8 pole a couple of horses tangling up, and there's the guy laying in the weeds, just slowly, methodically wear that group down.
Yeah, as we'll move into the fourth race of the day, the start of the Rainbow Pick 6. We do have a Rainbow Pick 6 carryover on offer, $2,347 starting in race 4, which also kickstarts the middle pick 4. You decided to go with that sequence today. Tell us why.
Because I think the fifth race, as you see by all the colors next to race 5
I was so tempted to do that too. I ended up not, but wow, race 5, I agree with you.
It's a smattering. It's it's Easter time, all the colors. It looks good springtime. So I've got to narrow things down here early, though. I'll single Martini Lane. I think he's just got an edge here. They're taking the edge. He says, you have one more race in him. I think he does. Get him over the top to get you started as your single. If you want to go too deep in there, it's only going to take you to 42. But here's where it gets interesting in race 5. I've got the 1, 3, 4, 5, 7, 10, 13. You can maybe add a couple others. My top selection in there, and there's where I'm really wrong. I've got to put the 9 in there. I don't know why. The 9 is my top selection, so I've got to go back and look what I did.
You did all of them bar your top
and then
selection.
9 is my top selection. So we're gonna bring that back, guys. We're gonna chop out a horse, or we can just add a horse. We're gonna add the 9 to that and bring that graphic back. That was just a miscue of me. I know we can't do it on air, but we'll come back maybe.
Don't worry,
later
we'll
in the day.
Correct it. Yeah.
So we're gonna use that horse as well, and then we're gonna come back with the 2 and the 9. In race 6, I do think these are the two main threats. These are the horses to beat in race 6. Race 7, 5, 8, 9. Cause to Dream. As built, my top selection in there at 6-1 on the morning line, and the 9, no chance given. My apologies, everybody. We're just kind of working back into it.
No worries at all.
Okay.
I'll give you a chance to talk about your 9 in race 5.
Good.
We'll just start with race 4 here. The 1-turn mile for claimers at 10 to 8,000 nomin is a 2 lifetime. Both you and I really like the number 4 Martini Lane. I agree with you there. This gelding is just a superb form 6-year-old, but not as heavily raced for his age. Hugh McMahon, I feel, does a good job with them, has had him now for 2 starts, and just sort of kind of continues to build on him.
Yeah, we talked about him last time about the drop-off of a positive race for 25. So that does concern me. He's a horse that came into Laurel with just kind of form, nothing really good. And then he took to the racetrack. He's run some good races over the track. I think they just want aggressive. Let's go ahead and win a race. We claim this horse for 16. We got a couple seconds. We win and get out of Dodge. We're okay. There is really no real speed in there. Maybe Shaka style. But Martini Lane, I think his kind of move, he should be able to open up a daylight lead around the turn and then have to hold off the closers. My price shot in here is going to be the 3. Aladdin Sane.
Yeah, do talk me through your price. I agree with you here. We had a scratch of the number 5 Classy Solution, who I thought was possibly going to move forward and set a bit of a pace. Well, he's not in here, so all of a sudden it opened up to Martini Lane possibly moving up as well.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to keep him from just off the pace in here. And like I say, maybe Shaka style, but Aladdin Sane, I just like coming out of a low percentage barn, coming back north, some tough tries on the turf. You go back, has a race on the dirt. We're going way back at Laurel, but it does work. And listen, this type of field, it's not a killer field. I can see this horse refresh, retooled, ready to go, and rallying into it with a rider who judges the pace well, and will have this horse in position by the time they turn for home.
Yeah, a fresh horse coming in, and this is an angle that Tim always uses as well, coming from the warm weather, going into perhaps some cooler atmosphere. Now, it's not that cool today, but it's still a little bit, a little bit more fresh, better ability to breathe, and just a change of barns as well can really freshen up a horse, especially some of the veteran runners, 5-year-old gelding in here. Definitely agree with you here. I like the underneath play for Aladdin Sane here. Laurel Gracer, as you mentioned, does very well with the Lynch barn. So no disrespect there at all. I use him underneath, so we'll see what will happen there. So we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back.
And they're off. Second in the 2-path. Ground on her inside. Race. And a quarter of a mile to go, and he's 6 on top.
Welcome back to Laurel Park. Today at the races, we're in the middle of a 9-race card. Race 5 we're getting to, and this is the spread race, right, Keith? The race that you used so many different horses. Now, this is interesting field as well, but of course, late pick 5 starts right here. I did create a ticket, may I add. 1, 3, 5, 8 I used, but I kind of want to go deeper as well because this is wide open. And if there's any horse that jumps up at a price, you want to be a part of it. So do encourage everyone to put a couple of horses in that you have interest in. I feel like this could be anyone's game in this field. Race number 6, optional claimer 2 other than mile and 16. I used the 2, the 8 and the 9 here. The 8 being my top selection in that spot, which is the youngest of 5. Hugh McMahon trains. Fergal Lynch takes the ride. Second after a short 2-month break, and really had to wait last time out. There was no gap. He got moved to the outside again and really started rolling. Had a lot less momentum going for him than some of the horses he opposed that day. So I feel like he can come out better in this spot. Race number 7, I used the 2, the 8 and the 9 again. So that's not a typo. I have a different horse on top there. It's the number 2, No Down Days. Just had a slightly bit of interest in this 3-year-old filly. Her debut was encouraging. She said 8 works since her 182 days layoff, including a bullet. So just feel like maybe there's something to be found there. 4-1 morning line, hoping to get a little bit of a price, but do include the 8 Ashbuild and the 9 No Chance Given as well. I think they're both going to be very strong. And Ashbuild, the number 8, working quite nicely for trainer Dale Capuano. So you want to include those. Race 8, I used the 4 and the 9, whereas the 9 takes my interest here, which is Remain Anonymous. Blinkers go on for this Michael Trombetta trained filly. And then in race 9, probably kind of taking a bit of a risk here, singling in that last race of the day. I've done it before and it is tricky. I use the number 7 in this spot, which is Insightful. Sheldon Russell rides. Jamie Ness drops in class here, is working the house down. The two of them have not often partnered up, but when they do, they hit at a 50% strike rate from a very small sample, but still can't knock Sheldon Russell, who wasn't the leading riders we'll get to because we only had a fair few days less, but still one of our leading riders that certainly moves up horses. As we'll get to the 5th race, and we were mentioning this before, Keith, very much a spread affair in here, because this is a race with an interesting condition for 3-year-olds and upward, which have not won a race since October 8th, or which have never won 4 races. 6 furlong the distance. I didn't get to your top 2. Talk me through your thought process.
I mean, a lot of people aren't going to get to my top 2, and I'm just trying to go outside the box, way outside the box. Let's just start. I mean, when I threw these races down, I started working on the morning line odds, and I got to this one. I was like, whoa. I think play is going to come in definitely on Martin. You've got droppers in Claudio's horse, the 4, Martin, and also I've got Bourbon Street, the 5 here. It's 7-2. One of those two, I think, is going to be the favorite. Dropping Bourbon Street very quick, dropping out of that last race where ease. So, but I'm like, I don't trust either one of them, Naomi. So I'm like looking around.
Get that.
I think Blue Danube. I mean, Jose Corrales is a guy I've caught with some big prices here in the past over the years. He's got a couple horses I think that are live in here, but Chavez goes here. He was named on 2. The 2 back race, granted, that was a 3 in life. Okay, but a lot of these horses are coming out 3 in life, so they're running okay, all right, that are in this condition. Toss the 7/8. You go back to that race. You're thinking, well, where that came out of nowhere. Well, this one might just come out of nowhere. They ran quick early. At no point, I went back and looked at that video. He looked like a winner at 40-1, and just was tracking in hand, confidently handled. I'll take the shot. Looking for value, that kind of number, a mid-60 number, is going to win this race. So there's your shot. They're keeping the peace. I thought ran very well against the bias. 2 races back, had a little issue early, then it got tugged up into the contention last time. Just never got comfortable. I like the move here. We got Geraldo getting some weight. He's a rider that has improved, can drop in and close into this pace.
I agree. John Geraldo is certainly worth the weight that he's taking off. I've just been nothing but praise for him. I feel like he's developed ever so much as a rider here. I use the number 8 Big Hambo because I was also thinking you want to go with a price play in this race. Yes. So your price play 30-1. I guess I can't top you there. We've got 12-1 on the number 8 Big Hambo. And Eric Salzman Jr. was hitting so strong. I mean, look at that stat, 41% for 2021. That's just a barn that's on fire now. Toss out that last race. You go back to the sprinting distances. This horse has done very well. I think he's going to be a pace influence in here. But look, as you mentioned, this is a wide open field, and I think it pays off to go with some price plays. I do use the number 5 Bourbon Street underneath. Katie Davis rides for Anthony Ferry, is dropping as well. As you mentioned, we have a couple of droppers in here. wondering what kind of run I'm going to get for Bourbon Street, but did want to include him as well. As we'll move on to the 6th race of the day, which is a mile and 16 here. And the number 2, Mischief Afoot. We do have a nice replay on this gelding. As I do remember, I think I watched back his last run here at Gulfstream Park. As you can see, inside gate doesn't get away that quickly. For, of course, a track like Gulfstream where speed is king, that kind of went against him.
Yeah, that definitely went against him in that race, but was able to pick it up quite well and rallied into it. You see the buyer there off the layoff, a good solid 86. Sometimes those Gulfstream numbers are a little inflated. We do see that time to time, but came back and ran an 88 Laurel in just an absolutely paceless race. We knew it was like a procession. They went down the backside. I go to Bill. I said, these horses on the lead. They're going to go 1, 2, 3. And they did. So I'm going to forgive them for that effort. Watch this after the slow beginning. The loose leader here past 8th ball. Closing up quite well is Mischief Afoot. Proven here at 2 turns. Yeah, I think he's going to be the main threat to the 9. Dinar, however you want to pronounce it. Do you have the correct pronunciation?
I don't think I do. I was
Robin.
Just going to go with
Okay.
Dinar as well. Dinar. I think Dinar suits all of us for the time being. Mischief, I do remember that Harrison E. Johnson Memorial cord maker to the front. And I think that Victor Carrasco did a marvelous job there. That won him the race by going to the front and slowing them right back down. So as you mentioned, for a closer like Mischief Afoot, that didn't set up at all. So slightly disappointing race, but not really because he ran so badly, and that reflects the 88 buyer as well. So I use him underneath. You go towards the outside with your top selection in the number 9 Dinar, as we just mentioned. Jamie Nessa comes here after a great 3 try in the Mineshaft at Fairgrounds. Now back to Laurel Park. It's been all over. This is a horse that certainly has been well traveled.
Yeah, and these are the type of horses. He gets into the barn, and you see the percentages. First time with the barn, he's 31%. He's got a horse that ran close to Maxfield and a couple other good runners down it. He's been all over Saratoga, Churchill, Keeneland, keying up against good horses at big prices, not getting any real play in those races. Today he will take a ton of play, plenty of play. We got some extra scratch, so I can see him below the 5-2 morning line, and that's good enough for me. He a little headstrong last time, opened up. He's a horse that, 2 turns is going to be a question. I don't know if that's really his game, but that company line and his positional speed in here, again, he's going to have to deal with Shotsky. Oxide comes out, was going to be part of that pace flow that kind of may make things a little bit easier, but this is the right kind of field. I mean, he's been facing some killers. No
I'm a
doubt.
little bit worried now with the perhaps lack of a strong pace, because I thought that number 8 Youngest of 5 was really going to benefit from that. He loves being able to kind of run into them and chase them down. And my reasoning for picking him on top, 8-1 price play, had to wait on the inside as there was no gap for him at all last time. I really had to sort of switch around and started running down quite strongly. In comparison, had no momentum when you look at some of the other runners that he was able to catch. I thought that was just a very sharp turn of foot. Second start after a short 2-month break, and we see Fergal Lynch get the ride here, which I thought was significant as well. Youngest of 5 hoping to get a bit of price bit, but it does depend on the pace setup. Very much looking forward to what Dinar is going to do in race number 6, as we'll move on to a maiden 40 event for the fillies in race 7. 6 furlong the distance here, and we do have another video spotlight on your top selection, which is the number 8 Ashbuilt for Del Capuano, trained by Jose Corrales before, but this is a filly that's working the house. And I was looking at that. I could only see the side angle a little bit. It looked like she just wasn't away that quickly, and they kind of closed in on her.
Yeah, just kind of put a little bit of tight quarters there at the break. But I tell you, a good recovery nonetheless to be able to finish up willing. Gets beat, forced to change behind Gravity's Rainbow, but I like the grittiness of this horse after that trouble beginning. Looking at the breeding, we talked about it last time. This is all sprint on the bottom side, so back to the sprint is the real deal. That's what you should be doing with this filly. I like that move. First time for Dale. You see that percentage. Plenty of speed to target. There's some horses that are going to be wing-dinging it up front. I think Shebang has got an awfully good turn of foot as a long shot to go in and force the flow. Mosler's Touch comes off of a race where it ran quite well against the bias, but it's going to be, I think, part of that pace flow might get chewed up in there. So I'm looking for that horse can make that run from mid-pack, and I think it's the 8 or the 9.
Yeah, I like the 8 Asheville myself as well, and the 9 No Chance Given. Tried to beat them both, though, with the number 2 No Down Days. Interesting. I just don't know how to rate her in this field, and I just picked her kind of hoping that she's going to move forward now, being a 3-year-old, making her a 3-year-old debut. Has been away from track for 182 days. I thought her debut was encouraging.
Yep.
Didn't finish as strongly last time out. I'm kind of hoping that that was sort of a one-off and she comes back in here after a freshening, a bit stronger. 8 works since, including a bullet on the end of February. So I'm taking a shot here. I see that you didn't include her, but just, I remember seeing her on the 8th of October, and she was, I think she was still learning. She was very excited in the paddock, taking everything in. I'm hoping to see a more professional filly today.
Yeah, a little time to, kind of get it back together, mature a little bit. She's got that speed. She fought in debut, so it's not like she can't go a decent clip, especially against this group, and carried a long way. But she's going to be tested, I think, on the front. I think she's going to really have to be tuned up to get it done. But she looks like a very capable filly. Daughter of Blame, yeah.
I'm just trying to take a shot here, and as you mentioned, I just liked her debut. So I figured if she can build on that instead of that last race, then we might have something going for us there. Race number 8 for fillies and mares 3-year-old and upwards, which have never won a race other than 7 furlongs distance here. And the number 4, Queen of Tomorrow. We look back at her race 2 starts back where she had an inside draw. I feel like she has enough tactical ability to kind of sit closer. You can see there's in between horses, ears back, and really fighting for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And she does whatever kind of she's asked to do, and she has maintained tremendous form. So gets the the State Bred A, other than knocked out of the way in February, freshened up and turning back. I like the 7 furlong distance off of this little break too, as opposed to the mile. So she just brings it. She beats a horse, runs right behind a horse, I should say, Kiss the Girls. So we know what she's come back. She ran big in 2 stakes tries after that. So she is just deadly consistent. The money's going to just come in on the 4 and the 9 mainly. Price shot in here. I'm going to take a shot with Ski Bunny. Toss the race from Parks over a muddy track. Her other tries here at a mile 16, 2 turns, she makes move into slower paces and kind of grinds it out. Hoping she gets a little more flow in here to target. I think she can unleash a run from mid-pack.
Is that closing style filly, and has actually done well, even despite a couple of slow paces in front of her. 2 and 3 starts back, still being able to rally. That to me is a very strong sign for a closer being able to do so. I ended up using the number 9, Remain Anonymous, on top. She gets the blinkers on for Michael Trombetta, who's just been was absolutely firing in the last meet throughout the country, really. Heavy in Toledo rides. I like the outside draw. I think the 7 furlong is going to work into her advantage. I think she might just be a touch better going slightly longer. She seems like that type of filly to me. So, and she's just been consistently running very sharply. I mean, 3 seconds coming into this. I'm hoping that she's going to move forward from that, as we'll get to the nightcap here. Race number 9, going 6 furlongs. Fillies claiming 25,000. We do have a look at the number 5 as well. Keep your skates on for Dale Capo, and of course Alexander Crispin is back riding all day again here today after his little time on the sideline. Just looking at that side, I looked at it a couple of times. I don't feel like anyone else but her is to blame for just breaking out ever so, slightly towards the outside and then getting herself into trouble.
Yeah, exactly. She started it. She broke a little bit slow, goes a little to the outside. The horse to her outside does come in slightly, which causes a little bit of a steady. She made an okay move around the turn, 4 and 5 wide, just didn't kind of sustain. Sick Pack Sarah really just dominated up front this particular afternoon, but I think given a little bit better break, she can close into this group, no doubt about it. She's going to have some speed to target. The key is Insightful, the 7. Is she just going to be able to separate herself on this little class drop, in this field? And I've got her on top, you've got her on top, and we'll see if we can get her home, because I think that's going to be the key. Be aggressively ridden, open up around the turn, hopefully top of the stretch, and she can kind of last against my closing video spotlight horse. Keep your skates on.
Yeah, I like her outside draw as well, and the speed she's going to show. I like Sheldon Russell getting on board here. He doesn't ride that frequently for Jamie Ness, but has had a winner for him. And this is a filly that seems to be gearing up to hopefully running back to her best again, as she's shown in multiple starts beforehand when she was with Dennis Ward. 46 and 3. Is that too? Do we like that, or is that too fast? Because in a way, I'm like, okay, say she's working well, but perhaps maybe on the fast side.
Yeah, maybe just a little too quick, but she's had time, right, since that, so she's able to regroup. And once you're tangling with the likes of Paradise Song, Pretty Laura, there's some pretty quick fillies right there. There's nobody with that kind of speed. If I remember correctly, that horse took a little bit of early play as well, Insightful, into that group. This is definite relief from a pace situation. Looking at that, I mean, she should be able to have a lot more left in the tank for the final 3/8.
Yeah, big drop there because of course Paradise Song ran a career best that day. I think she ran an 81 buyer and beat the whole field by 5 or more. So clearly that was tough to get to. This should be a lot easier for Insightful as we'll get to the final part of our show. Of course, this is your favorite part, right, Keith? Lightning round.
You put me right on the spot. I'm never prepared for it. I'm never prepared for anything, obviously. But no, here we go. What do we got today?
Well, we start off with, of course, the fact that today is the start of the spring meet, just giving everyone the dates, April 8th to May the 2nd, as we're rolling into Preakness.
Man, right around the corner, right? Spring meet, we love it. But this is the best time of year here, I think, for our Maryland racing. I mean, we've got the turf race. The turf course opens it up from a betting standpoint. So you like that, and the excitement. We've got the lead-in stakes races towards Preakness weekend, Black-Eyed Susan Day. So yeah, this is when things really get good around here.
Yeah, really looking forward to it. But before of course, we've been looking forward all morning, but looking back at the winter meet here, of course, we didn't get to race for a fair few days, meaning that the jockey standings stayed largely the same. Alexander Crispus, even though he wasn't riding, still just got the nod over Sheldon Russell, which is kind of, a shame for Sheldon, because I dare say he would have ridden at least 1 or 2 winners in the days that we weren't running.
The wire saved Alexander Crispin, I guess, right? Maybe it was the first wire he got to go to.
Yeah. Definitely not a second wire finish there. As we move on to the trainer standing, that was a clear-cut winner, though, in Claudio Gonzalez. Nobody was really going to catch him. 28 winners tying up yet another title. Claudio really does very well here. Has the numbers to back him up as well. As we'll quickly look at the Stronach 5, as I said before, Stronach 5 kicks off right here tomorrow. Gulfstream Park, us again, Gulfstream Park, Golden Gate Fields, 12% industry low takeout. Always a fun sequence to play. And we'll give you all the lowdown on, of course, the Laurel Park races. We'll be looking to you, Keith, for all the winners there. Don't let us down. As we'll get to the final segment here, the match races coming back. There was a slight hiatus in the match series due to the pandemic last year, but we're back. 2.75 million is on offer for 3-year-olds and upwards. 24 stakes races, 20 here at Laurel. And we're kicking things off with the Grade 3 Pimlico Special and the Grade 3 Alain Dupont for the ladies. This is fun. 6 races in each of the 4 divisions. I really think that this is something to look forward to.
Gives everybody something to target, the owners, the trainers, the breeders, right? I mean, everybody's got a shot to get a piece of that big pie. And yeah, I like it. Things like this, it was started back 97, I think, then went on a hiatus after a few years, but the one thing I like is rivalries. People get a chance to see the same horses kind of going after it, like some prize fighters and stuff. It's good for the game. It gets people in touch with these runners. And I know a couple years sitting here with Damien Lakai, right? I think a couple years ago might have gotten the job done in the match series. So we've got the local flavor. We're going to be doing some stuff, right, with Colonial Downs, some races there. But that's what I like the best. You get to see some of these guys going at it time and time again, and it really develops some good rivalries.
I agree. It's all about the stories and horses turning up on the day, and then people targeting these races. So I think it's a wonderful opportunity, and I'm glad we have it back again for 2021. So big news there, 2.75 million. That's nothing to sneeze at. So well done to everyone involved there, and can't wait for things to kick off shortly. As that will do it for us, Keith. It's been a pleasure having you back, and let's get things off on the right note here in the spring meet.
We sure are going to try. I like it. We got remember that 5th race. That's the blow up, right? Let's see if we can get it done.
Absolutely. We'll try and get that 30-1 shot of yours home in the 5th race. As we'll finish off, I'll be back later in the afternoon, but we'll go to Dave Rotman for scratches and changes.
All righty. Good luck.